This is KCAA.
Spin the dial, yes. All right. Ain't no, keep that up. Ooh, remember that. No way to stop us now. The only thing that can happen is that we quit. You don't want to quit. I don't know. There's a couple of things we need to quit doing. One of them is taking life for granted, taking each other for granted, taking God and the planet for granted. What do you mean, Wallace, taking things for granted? Well, I mean, you don't, I don't, we don't just automatically deserve the best. Well, yeah, okay, you're doing, yeah, you think, yeah, that's what we tell ourselves. But you got to be thankful for something. You should be thankful for everything. We should, I should, and as I speak to you, I'm speaking to myself. I listened to Reverend E.C. as I came in this morning, and I don't know, something he said made me think about taking things for granted. I think it was a piece he was playing about women, about how important women are on the planet. And, and I had just had my breakfast brought to me in my, as I'm getting up, hustling to get here, I look up and there's my breakfast right there, and it's like, yeah, there's my breakfast. Wait a minute, it didn't just appear out of space. My wonderful wife took time out of her life to step forward and do something that she may just, think is. And over a period of time, I may get to thinking that, well, it's, it's due. It's not due. It's not due so much that I should just ignore that I ate it. I said, thanks. You know how you say, thanks. But I didn't say, wow, thank you. I mean, seriously, be thankful. There are things that we have to be nourishing to if we want them to continue. We cannot just take things for granted. You cannot get out on the freeway and drive and assume that, because I've got to be there at 6:30, everybody's going to get out of my way and make it possible for me to be there at 6:30. And everybody that doesn't is a dirty bird and deserving of any creative descriptions I can provide them. No. We have to get along with ourselves and the planet. Take it for granted. I'll tell you what, keep taking the earth for granted. It's going to spit you out, spit us out, spit us all out. No, so I can't say keep taking it because I don't want you to. I want us all to understand that what we individually do to harm the earth comes back to us collectively. Nobody look and throw that piece of paper out the window. Well, I'm giving somebody a job. I'm helping. What I'm really leaning into right now, folks, is this election. Taking it for granted, taking freedom for granted, taking it for granted that you have the right, that when policeman pulls you over because you're whatever, black driving, let's take it all the way there. We've got something to be, I don't know, maybe you're young enough to just be arrogant on it and say, well, you ain't going to shoot me. Well, I'm old enough to say, damn, he might shoot me. And I know people older than that who say, well, I'm getting ready to get shot. So the perception changes as we go, and as that perception changes, one of the things you got to understand is don't take it for granted that this is just the way it is. There are people on the planet right now today in the borders of the United States of America who'd like to see us at war with each other. And what's the best way to do? All right, let's make the black ones and the white ones fight. Well, let's make the black ones and the black ones and the brown ones and the yellow ones fight each other first. Let's make everybody fight so they can sit on the sidelines and sell tickets and make money. And well, that's you and that's me. We got to make this decision. And you're going to make a decision now. Many of us have already put forth our vote. And any of us who have not voted by this time, you're either still working on making up your mind, or you've kind of decided that I'm not going to get involved with that, or, oh, I forgot. Well, I'm not going to get involved in, oh, I forgot, is a vote. And it's a vote for tyranny. Huh? Because it's a vote that doesn't say, I am involved, I want freedom to stand, I want it to stay, I am willing to participate, at least to the point of making a vote. Oh, yeah, Wallace, yeah, get off you got to vote. You're either going to vote for what's being presented for you to look at and decide, or you're going to stay at home and you're going to accept whatever crap they put in the box and call it ice cream. You got to eat it too. You're going to have to eat whatever results come up from this election, no matter what. Oh, there's people that say, oh, you don't have to believe. No, you're going to have to eat what is prepared for you via this election. So you better hit your menu button, tell them what you want. We're going to help you out with that a little bit. I've got the pleasure of having former Assemblywoman Cheryl Brown, the Honorable Cheryl Brown. She's going to talk to us about some of the items on the ballot that are still available for those that haven't voted yet. I'm going to talk about the propositions, a couple of measures, kind of clarify what may be good for our community. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. Indeed, my pleasure to be sucking oxygen with you this morning. Though it's not as pure as it was a couple of thousand years ago, it's still working for us. So let's work for it. We'll be back right after this short break and talk a little bit about our obligation to not take things for granted, especially freedom.
Every word I say.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.
Hey, kiddo, ready to catch that movie?
Almost. Wallet, phone, keys, mask. Yep, all set.
A mask? It's not required, is it?
No, but it's gonna be busy and crowded, so I'll feel better with it on.
You right. It is opening night. Let me grab mine.
Nice. You passed the vibe check, Dad.
Wearing a mask when it can help protect you and others is just one way to keep each other safer. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
This is KCAA.
This is Empire Talks Back, and I am Wallace Allen. This is a great time for us to be grateful for all that we've been given and promised and in a position to earn. We are in America. We are in the one place that we have been indoctrinated to believe that we've got the right to step up and participate and help decide our fate. We get to do it in elections. We get to do it in elections that are called elections. We get to do it in elections that are basically selections where we put our money, where we put our energy, and we have those things that result from them. And over a period of time, though it's not quick and fast, we found that elections do help the oppressed become less oppressed. It don't make you definitely free because you got to use your wings to do that part. But it opens up some doors and makes some things happen. And there's some people who understand the world of politics and elections better than others. And we are blessed today to have one of those people that understand not only the purpose but the process and some of the strategies involved in attaining political relevance. And we have former Assemblywoman, the Honorable Cheryl Brown, with us on the phone. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you?
Good morning. morning, Wallace. How are you?
Josephine got up and made me my oatmeal and toast and coffee this morning, and and I was grateful for it, but I don't know if I was letting her know how grateful I really am. And my theme today is don't take things for granted. So I'm going to use How Are You, Wallace, this morning to say thank you, Josephine, for getting me pepped up and prepped up with my breakfast this morning.
Josephine is a wonderful, wonderful partner for you.
She is,
and
absolutely.
She is a wonderful lady.
Absolutely.
And she gave a lot to the state of California for the years that she worked. So,
well,
you can tell her I said that.
I will. And speaking of great partners and mates, you have one too, Mr. Hardy Brown. He's given tremendous energy and knowledge and important, relevant information to
yes,
people
I'm
in
proud
Maryland
of him.
Yes.
I'm proud of him because he has ALS, and he doesn't let that slow him down. He'll be on the computer, and he wants to make sure that people know how to vote and why they should vote the way they do.
Well, I would expect then that some of the things that you're going to talk about this morning will be partially influenced by your husband, probably the same way Clarence Thomas's actions are going to be influenced by his wife. I didn't.
Wait a minute.
Seems logical to me. She making breakfast for him or somebody. She letting make breakfast for him. He got to be grateful to her the same way I am to Josephine, the same way you are to Hardy, and vice versa. That's what I mean. If they were just together a couple of months, maybe I wouldn't be so convinced that they really know how to talk to each other. But if they've been together many years, they certainly know how to talk to each other.
Well, they don't talk to each other. Remember, she said she doesn't talk to him.
Yeah, but see, I'm one of those people that I catch a lie, I see it real quick. And just because they said it with deep, passionate feelings, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I believe they talk.
Well, that's a good thing.
Cheryl, we've got many things on the agenda with the election. I'd like to talk to you about the propositions. Give us an idea of where you stand on them. They're numbered really crazy. I don't know what that's all about. But let's start with proposition number 1.
Proposition 1 is a proposition that will codify the right to an abortion. So many people say, well, we shouldn't have abortions because that's killing babies or whatever. However, it is a medical procedure that is many times necessary. And I have no problem telling anyone that we should keep church and state separate, and that if we're going to have an abortion, that's between us and our doctor, and not the politicians that one of the elected or one of the candidates is saying should be in the room when that decision is making. I think it was Oz that said it should be between the woman, her doctor, and the politician.
I think there should be a third element too, but it's not politicians. I would like to note that we Christians consider that God is in the room, and that He is the ultimate decision maker and the ultimate judge, and that He puts us here to allow us to make judgments and choices. And if He thinks we made the wrong one, there is something that we consider the eternal punishment for such. And so standing in between each other's eternal punishment or reward is not a smart place to be as far as I'm concerned.
Right. I was going to say, and God is the ultimate of whatever decision you make. You've got to decide how that's going to affect your life.
Yeah, and
God helps you with those decisions.
And if somebody's not standing there getting ready to kill you, you might be able to say, well, I'm willing to let God get you. You did something wrong, I'm willing to let God get you because I believe in it that well. Now, I probably wouldn't have the emotional power to stand there and let you eat up my baby,
Right.
But at the same time, I'd probably be praying to God at the same time that I was You know, I'm saying, I hope that there is a time to kill. I hope that I'm doing the right thing, but I got to save my baby. So Proposition 1 codifies in law that the state of California, a woman would always have the right to choose.
The right to choose, and that's I think that's the key, is the right to choose.
Once again, I don't want
because
to get
some people will choose it and others will not.
And we who are probably most against it are representing that we are representing God in our attitude. And once again, I mean, God is stronger than anything we're talking about doing. But anyway, that's so that clarifies Proposition 1. So I did vote already, and I did vote yes on that one. I don't know. I hope I didn't make anybody mad, but if I did make you mad, you look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, and, and then while you're looking in the mirror, pick up the phone. You can call me. You'd be okay.
That's okay. A good one.
Yeah. All right. The next proposition skips all the way to number 26. And what is 26? Can we compare? Can we go with 26, 27 at the same time, or is there something that
I did? As I was doing some writing on 27, I had to go back and look at 26 and say, I think they kind of go together because it all deals with gaming. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that 26 does is it puts young people, kids, in the driver's seat because they're the ones that know the technology. What will happen when your grandchildren start gaming because it's in their hand, because it's their telephone, because it's their computer? So I think that one's pretty dangerous because there's nothing to stop that from happening. But I want to jump to 27 because for many years I've been involved with the local Indians and their plight, I guess you could say.
Can we take a short break and we'll come back and talk about the plight of the
Native Americans?
Okay. Yeah, I was getting ready to
But I have to say that because that's what 27 is about. And 27 is basically a proposition that will take away the sovereignty of our Native American community. And it's permanent. And all the money will be taken out of California. It'll go to Wall Street. It'll go to Las Vegas. It'll go to other states.
I guess we don't have to wait till after. We don't have to wait till after the break to say this one. And so 26 and 27 are both nasty pills that are not going to do anything for us socially redeeming. And it's going to make money for somebody else and create opportunity for people who find it hard to resist the temptation of wondering about, am I going to win? Am I going to lose? Let me try again. With the rent money and things of that sort. So let's make it hard for those people to, get up. If you want to do it, get up and go to the casino. Don't get to be able to roll over and do it on your phone. I voted no on both of those. So let's take a break.
Yep, no. Those are big no's for me.
Very good. We're going to take a break, Cheryl, and when we come back, I got to make a nickel. We're going to come back.
Go ahead.
And plus, this is, we are sponsored by California Department of Public Health, so we got some good, solid messages for people. So you guys pay attention to that. When we come back, if you're upset about the fact that we said no on 26 and 27, I'll bet you something. Hang in, and I'll tell you what I'll bet you later because I know you want to bet. And we'll talk about 28 when we come back, unless there's some lingering effects of 26 and 27. I'll bet you. We'll be right back.
They really don't have no
KCAA.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call Westside Story Newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Real talk, kids are gonna kid. And sometimes that can look messier, ickier, and stickier than we'd like to admit. We can't always protect our kids from chewing on borrowed pencils, sharing lip gloss, or wild sneezes. But there is one thing we can protect them from, and that's COVID-19. Keep your family safer with vaccines and boosters. Find one near you at myturn.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
106.5 FM and KCAA 1050 AM.
We are back. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen on the case for truth, justice, with the right information to help improve the situation. We are speaking with the Honorable Cheryl Brown, our former Assemblywoman here representing. Cheryl, what district was that you represented? Cheryl? Hello? Did I lose Cheryl? Okay, please.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
no.
here.
Okay. They're fixing that cup of coffee, putting a little sugar in it. You don't need that sugar. I'm telling you, leave that stuff alone. Cheryl, I was asking about what district is that you represented while you were serving?
Right, it was the 47th.
47th.
That's San Bernardino, Colton, Rialto.
Now, you mentioned something that I don't want to just brush over as we talked about 27. You said that would actually cause the Native American tribes to lose their sovereignty.
Yeah, it will. They will take, right now, remember, we took their land, or those who took their land.
You know, we have to say we because, you know, if I want the privileges of American justice, I've got to be able to point out the injustices and be part of that too. So that.
Well, I don't know if I was a part of that part.
No, you can't. You can't select. I mean, our country was, and this is what we're talking about. Our ability to change the policies and change the effects of what happened negatively to people as a result of our country's policies. That's what it's about. We can't separate from that. That's why that's why to me you can't say, well, I ain't going to vote because your vote to not vote.
Oh, you're voting by not voting.
That's right.
I noticed you said that earlier.
Yes,
and I'm saying, hey, you know, you're still voting by not voting.
Absolutely. Okay, so look at 28. What do we have on number 28? Tell me which one 28 is. I have a. Okay, let me see.
Is that the one that's for the schools?
Yes, it is. That's the arts. It gets arts and
that's
PE
why
and
I'm
stuff
kind
like
of torn up about that one, because we should have. I think that we've given schools a lot of money.
Cheryl, are you one of those millionaires that would be affected by the tax on this?
I'm sorry. Am I what?
One of the millionaires that would be affected by the tax on this proposition?
Oh, no. Not at all. But I think that if we keep taxing millionaires, Tiger Woods and others are going to leave California. These are California things. And the only thing that I'm talking about when it comes to us continuing to do that, we've got to be careful. Now, vote, yes, because it helps the children, but I wonder why we have to continue to have these kinds of measures whenever you have a budget and whenever you look at how much of the budget is spent in education and in public for police and fire. I think we need to do some more balancing. And yes, we do need that in the schools.
Yeah, because if we educate our kids to conservation and fire prevention and public safety and provide them with the justifications for those things by keeping them safe, by giving them real opportunities to learn, I think we would reduce our need for most of those things that we end up paying for based on ignorance. Because these fires, these forest fires and stuff, that's kind of much based on ignorance. because of the way.
Now, are we talking about 30 or?
We're talking about 20. We're talking about 28.
28, right? Okay. So 30 is the one that has to do with
the
fires.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
We're talking art and education, right? So
right, art and education.
I just as a parent and a grandparent, I don't think we can spend too much money on educating our kids.
I agree.
I see it coming back to us.
I agree, but I'm still concerned that we continue to do this over and over again, and it's never enough.
I agree with you about the lack of administrative will to actually do the right thing with this money, because we do keep collecting it. But as far as me worrying about Tiger and the other millionaires leaving beautiful, sunny California for what part of the rest of the country, I'll take my chances on that part. Because
a lot of people are saying that, but look how many people we're losing in California. We really do need to look at what's happening when it comes to the millionaires that we continue to tax. I
think the idea should be, let's create more millionaires while we're here, right here in California. Let's let California continue to be an economic generator and create not only the manufacturing and the mental strength to keep economically growing, but to keep it local. And keep our monies there. And if you want to leave and go to Florida, I have children in Florida. I love Florida as a visit. Wonder why they're able to stay there that long. And especially with the, I'll take an earthquake over these hurricanes any day.
No, that's true.
I think the millionaires make their decisions based on that, just like we do. And I'm not worried about losing them. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping to be one, and I'm willing to pay the tax.
Okay.
Okay.
Then there's no problem with that.
And Cheryl, if you guys had a windfall over there, would you guys get up and leave? I don't think so.
I wouldn't.
No, you put too much work in to make California livable and functionable, and plus you got grandbabies here.
I see that many people are doing that. I don't know if you've noticed around here even now, poor people are kind of leaving. But we do have to work on...
Now, poor people leaving California, they should get a round-trip ticket, because I don't know where they're going. But public services, California Department of Public Health does not extend itself into Arizona, Nevada, the rest of the country. And when you start telling me about your health care concerns and your living conditions, your quality of life, I'll tell you what, it's better to go find your spot that is not that expensive, because that's why they're leaving, because they can't get next to the ocean. They can't be over by the lake. Those prices go up. But California is still the best bargain in the country. If you want to have what we have here, I'll argue that all day. And if you want to leave and you got to go,
I've seen so many good people leave California.
Yeah, but they stay in touch.
Oh, they stay in touch.
They stay in touch, and they're still functioning.
Tax base.
Most of ours, we say that.
We're losing that tax base, and all you have to do is read headlines.
I look forward to this. You're going to have to come back on, and we're going to talk about this later, because I think we can have nothing but good come from talking about raising our quality of life through economic development here in California. But right now, we want to keep these people on this voting thing, and I love you so much for exciting me enough to go off cue like I've done this morning.
I think it's wonderful. I like to have discussion.
Yes, I know.
And if I'm wrong...
No, you're never wrong, because you're inspiring. It's inspirational. You're making people think. It's a think factory. You can't lose when you're making people think. Even if they don't end up agreeing with you, you've made them connect those synapses. That's good. We're gonna. Okay, 28, 29. Is there
29 has been here before. This is the third time around, and it has to do with people who are on dialysis.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. We're going to get 29, 30, and 31. And Cheryl, I really appreciate what you're doing. You're clarifying a few things here. So many things that we have to be concerned about. We'll take this short break. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about Proposition 29, 30, and 31. Thank you.
A long way to go. Where we'll
KCAA.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
It's probably just allergies. I'm probably good to fly. I probably don't have COVID.
Take the probably out of your plans. Test for COVID-19 if you've been exposed, when you're feeling sick, and before and after traveling and gathering. Learn more at covid19.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at KCAAradio.com.
We're back. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. We're talking with former Assemblywoman Cheryl Brown, representing the 47th District of California, that's San Bernardino and some surrounding areas. Cheryl is helping us out today to understand the angle on these propositions, and we're to talk about number 29. She was saying how that's the one that has been repeated itself, is repeating itself, and hopefully it'll also be tossed out the window with the last couple of times it was. So what's so bad about this one, Cheryl?
People who are on dialysis, their dialysis institution or place where they go will be closed down. And right now they're even having problems with some of them closing.
They be
because
closed.
They have to be financially stable so that people can stay. People have to stay in business.
Yeah, the crux of this is it requires that a doctor be on site,
right,
to do the same thing that the techs are able to do now, and there have actually been no complaints about the efficiency or effectiveness of the techs. So it seems to be something where somebody's trying to get a job for their nephew or uncle or cousin or somebody like that.
Yes, I think this one is put forth by SEIU, and it is that particular thing that they're trying to do, and it's what they're doing. What SEIU is doing is saying we want a better quality for these patients. Now, the patients aren't complaining. So, yes, we need the top quality for everything that we get involved in. But at this rate, the way that they want to do it is going to shut the places down, so there won't be anything available for these patients except the hospital.
Yeah, I think your description of the union's intent is very diplomatic. And I'll just go with that like that, because to tell me that the quality is your concern is interesting. But what's important is that, are you saying that the quality is bad now? And we have nothing that suggests that it is.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, so 29.
And the patients are saying, leave it alone. You've done this 3 times.
Actually, they're saying it with a bit more fervor and passion than you're allowed to say it on the radio.
Okay.
Okay. So the 29. I voted that 29 should not pass.
Right.
And so now we go to 30. 30 is
kind of one that I've had to look at, because when I look at, they say it's going to save the environment. I cannot find that in any of the literature. And when our governor gets on and says, hey, 30 is not for us, it is for one company, I have to pay close attention to that.
Okay.
I have a no on 30 as well.
Oh yeah, we did no on 30.
Huh?
We did no on 30, and 31 is down the one that has to do with tobacco having those candy flavors to attract our children and
Right.
the inner child in adults.
The one thing about us continuing to do that, I don't know if it's good or bad, and I don't say it like, well, people should be smoking. They shouldn't be smoking. However, money is tied to smoking cigarettes, and we have a first five that's going to suffer if people aren't smoking. First five, 0 to 5 for children, they're losing their funding because people have stopped smoking.
Well, that was the idea.
I think it would be.
I mean, that was the
And
idea.
I
Now,
said
here's the other thing, that we should be able to find another way of funding a service that emphasizes developing our children between before 5 years old, and it's there are industries out there that are based on serving these kids. You know, we've got the diaper industry, we got baby food people, we've got all type of little entertainment toy folks. I don't know if how they would put forth their monies to support that, but from an entrepreneur's attitude, we maybe need to kind of empower something that's going to generate some money around First Five and organizations that are really beneficial to our kids.
Well, I have a yes on 31.
I do too.
I'm just saying we need to stop attaching the things that we need to things that people are to the habits of people, because those habits can change.
Well, taking it for granted that our kids are going to grow up and be okay is begging for failure.
That's true.
Okay, so taking it for granted that the society is going to finally wake up and, appreciate the value of our kids, and no, we've got to fight for that. It's like we have to fight for clean air. We have to fight for that, because the people who are smart enough to know that we don't want Heisman Trophy football players to fly airplanes unless they've taken flight training, we can't just put people in the wrong lanes and expect that they're going to do well.
I agree.
Okay,
I absolutely agree with that. It's the way that we put propositions on the ballot to start with is a problem for me. When I walk by a grocery store and they're collecting the ballots, they're collecting signatures.
Yep.
They never ask me if I'll sign. Rarely. And so one day I tried to find out what was, and they said, "Well, we know you won't. We know you won't sign." And so that means that they know the type of person who will sign those initiatives.
And the type who will sign them over and over again.
Right. And they get $10 a name.
There
they might have 4 propositions. That's $40 for 1 minute's work.
And if you get a guy to go change caps and come back around again, it could be, more than that.
That's true.
Okay, so, that whole idea of this is the proposition planting and growing propositions in California is like planting corn. It's an income generating product.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually people who've got enough money to invest into that product that do it. I find that it's really hard to find a proposition that I'm enthusiastic about voting for, even those that we've looked at today. It's like Proposition 1, we're already there, but they've spent the money, it's on the ballot, might as well support it. But we were okay before. and in terms of our educating our kids, this money is not going to make us be able to say, we're cool now, don't worry about it anymore. So based on that, I don't really care if it passes or not. We still got to pay attention to our kids, and maybe if it doesn't pass, we'll pay more attention than we would if it does pass and have us thinking, well, things are okay now. So we've got all of that to deal with, and once again, that makes people like you who are willing to spend their time going out to formulate a policy and go out and cajole and beg and ask people to do what they should do without a begging or effort on the part of us to get them to vote, and then to get them to come to meetings and to tell you what's really up. So that you're really representing them. It's rough, and I appreciate that you were willing to do that and that you did it and did a good job.
Wait a minute, that you educate people. That's the whole thing. You want an educated electorate, and that's in what you're doing with your show. Is you're educating people. I was looking at something that you had in your newspaper. You're educating people, and that's what's important. Once you educate them, then they can make the right decision.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I thank you. And I ask everybody that's listening to make a phone call to their best friend in Georgia and be sure that they're voting. I'm concerned about California, but I ain't worried about it. I'm worried about Georgia. Okay.
Right.
Cheryl, thank you so much. God bless you. Once again, Holler at Hardy. Thank you for your wonderful children that are serving us as well. And we'll look forward to talking to you about some strong arm not politics, but economic development sometime in the near future. Let's start the new year off with it. Thank you again. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. When you come back, we're going to try to figure out, did the blues, what came first, the blues or the gospel? Because we got the blues and we sure need to pray. We're going to figure this out. We'll be right back. We've got Miss Gloria here with us, Tyler Mallory, the Silver Fox. We're going to talk about the blues and wonderful things that come as a result of paying attention to it. We'll be right back.
Nothing hold us back.
106.5 FM and KCAA 1050 AM.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
This is KCAA.
All right, we're back. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. I hope you were able to get your ballot squared away as a result of that conversation with the Honorable Cheryl Brown. Our guest now is Gloria. Oh, my goodness.
Tyler.
No. The Silver Fox, a former gospel DJ who has been confused enough in life about people talking to her about gospel and blues that she's leaning toward becoming an educator in terms of the blues and gospel. And Miss Gloria Tyler Mallory, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
God is great. I'm extremely grateful.
Good.
I am definitely that. So you have come back to the Inland Empire.
Yes.
Or should I say come back, or this is a visit of sorts, but you're here now.
I'm here, and it appears that I will be here.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about your attraction to the blues.
Well, I love to share with people that my attraction to the blues obviously started long before I was born. My maternal grandfather had a juke joint in Hungerford, Texas, 56 miles southwest of Houston.
Now, you didn't say juice joint.
No, I said juke.
Okay. I want to make that clear. We're not,
But they had juice.
They had juice.
Well, back in the day, people actually brought their own juice, and they just did the setup, the ice and cherries and
So
stuff.
you saw live performances before you were able to see them. I understand you were saying that that your little bedroom area was a straight shot from that you could hear and see what was going on.
That's
and
right.
And they could see and take care of you while this was going on too.
That's right. My grandfather's juke joint was off of Highway 59, which comes out of Houston, and it was actually in the fork of a road. And at the point of the fork is where he had his barbecue pit, and so forth and so on. That building was the juke joint. And as my mother said, she could look straight through the window and into the window of the house, which was next door where I slept. And
Excellent.
she said she could see me all night.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So you have experience being a gospel DJ.
Gospel announcer.
Okay. The question I'm asking is, what came first, the blues or the gospel? And your stand on that is?
That the blues came first.
Okay.
There's a song that specifically talks about the blues scales coming from Mali.
Okay.
Came from Mali into what we now know as Southern United States.
You have a piece for us to listen to that is done by a gospel singer.
A gospel singer, Sister Monica Parker.
Sister Monica Parker. Could we hear that, Eric?
What I want to say about this song is this. See, the blues came from a country called Mali, which is the continent of Africa. All of the blues scales that we sing and play evolved out of this country in the western part of the continent. And then when the slaves were brought over to southern United States and they were working on the plantations, come on, tell it now. The first music that evolved out of that great migration was actually not church music, because we were not brought here to worship. We were brought here to work. And in our working, we found that if we praised and worked at the same time, we got better results. Because the work was inspired by something outside of ourselves. And there were stories that evolved, like the people could fly. They'd leave their bodies down there in the cotton fields, and the physical self would be working, but the spirit would be hovering above, watching it all go down. Somebody captured this in the music, because we all know in the end, Rockefeller, this a fella, that a fella. You got a dime, you got 10 million, you got a billion. It's all gonna even up. That's right. The playing field will be level. Come on now. By the great emancipator. You gotta move. You got to move.
You got to move.
You gotta move, child.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You got to move. So the blues was more of a natural thing that came from Africa.
Right.
As we understood that she said that we weren't here to party, we were brought here to work.
To work. That's right.
And so we had to add another element to the blues, which was from Mali, it was a party blues. But once it got here, it became a praying blues that became gospel. Is that what we?
That's
Not
what
a bit.
is,
That's a good storyline.
yeah, it
makes
is.
sense. Yeah.
And it was the scales, the musical scales were brought.
That's what we can document.
right. That-
we can
yes, that
we
is
can
correct.
document that those scales were taking place before and that they are taking place now.
Now, that is correct. And as she said in the song, we were not here to church and sing spirituals. That came later. The blues was there, and eventually it evolved and was in the church because that was the scales that they knew. And I know as a radio announcer that oftentimes ministers thought people were bringing the blues into the church, but the blues was there because that's all we knew. And, we can go into that.
Well, what occurred, I think, was in the 50s with the recording industry. Once the music took root in the churches early on, back in the 1800s, and throughout the 30s and the 20th century. But then as we get into recordings and radio in the early 40s and 50s, gospel music had taken over in terms of what we expected to hear, and the church was big. And so now you're taking the gospel music and you're taking it out singing the blues, where in fact it was the same blues,
right.
same music.
And well, the blues was an expression. W.C. Handy tried to, in the early 1900s, was to try
an expression of a condition.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Of a condition, and I want to curve this into the theme of the day, which is, taking things for granted.
Yes.
And taking our music, for instance, for granted.
Yes.
And not paying attention to the messaging in that music.
Exactly.
Is something that, it's a totally different dimension.
And again, I emphasize that it was an expression of what a person was feeling. In my reading, I have learned, for instance, John Lee Hooker, he sang what he felt. Yeah. It wasn't written They would start playing, and it was started with a guitar.
Well, now, the man had life experiences.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
and
exactly.
as a bit of a wordsmith myself, I understand that my experiences are what makes the flow. It's not my desires of what I can say right now. I can't. I can have an intention of what I want to end up having stated, but the gathering of the thought and the gathering of the emotions comes back from all of these years past. Yes. That and that leads me back over to November 8th, day after tomorrow.
Yes.
Is going to be the last day that people have a choice to get from the blues to the gospel to the hip hop to the joy of what all of that music does. It gives us a signal. If we go back to what we just heard this song was, we got to move.
Yes.
And
exactly.
pretty much the constant theme in the development of our culture has been one that says we've got to move.
That's
and
right.
we where we came from and where we want to get to is really critical in how we get there. And I want to thank you for bringing this reminder that throughout our history, our goal has been to move. And this Tuesday gives us another chance to express ourselves, help develop the movement of freedom, to mark the planet with what God has given us the desire to do.
Exactly.
And I want to thank you for that and invite you to come back. This is Empire Talks Back, quickest hour on radio. See you next week under two circumstances. One, if the good Lord's willing. Two, if the creek don't rise. Gloria, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
KCAA Loma Linda.